Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Pam Peak, host of the Club 100 podcast. Welcome to our next episode. And I don't know if you like hearing fire engines. This is the one for you. Did I hear someone say fire? Well, what we're going to be doing is what we always do on these podcasts, and that's share really cool stories, raw, authentic, amazing stories told by the women and men who are part of the Club 100. And this is here to inspire, motivate, so that when you're sitting back and saying, I feel so lost, well, we've got all kinds of stories about navigating life's challenges, tough times, triumphs. Also, this is a big shout out to everyone out there. Anyone listening who wants to be a member of Club 100, just run on over to 100 Club 100 on Twitter and just have a little look, see. And if you really feel like you want to join, then just put 100s on either side of your Twitter handle. All right. So today's guest. Yes. So we have with us Keith Williams. Now, Keith, I got to say, you had me at Fire Engine. So I saw that you had come on board, with Club 100. And then I saw that you just very recently became a fireman. I mean, how cool is that? And then now you're going to go for your EMT training as well, and all of this. And then I read up above, and it says everything you want is on the other side of fear. This is a very famous quote from Canfield.
Yep.
And win the day. Okay, I love all that. Got me on that one. 55 years young. Okay, but you just became a fire. Okay, so how did all of this happen? And before we even begin with that, I'd like to know, like, when you got involved with Club 100, so we can kind of see how long you've been sort of hanging out with us.
Yeah, Dr. Peak, first of all, thank you very much. I'm honored. I'm humbled. I've seen the podcast because I have not been on with Club 100 very long. It was the beginning of the summer. And the story goes, my son is a junior, or excuse me, going to be a sophomore in college, and he's studying exercise science. He has an Instagram page, and he's got, like, I don't know, 34,000 followers. And he's posting and nutrition, and he's doing all those things. And so the beginning of the summer, early June, he shared with me a post that someone had sent to him. And it was, thank you for, inspiring me. Thank you for putting up the videos. I see your nutrition. I'm seeing what you're eating. I'm starting to replicate that and eating healthier and those type of things. And I was just in awe, so proud of him. And then he looked at me and said, Dad, at your age, you could inspire people. And I said, I don't know. That might have been a compliment. Somewhere in there.
It's the at your age thing.
At your age, yeah.
Should I slap them? Should I be happy?
Yeah,
what?
Yeah. And we lift together, and it's a lot of fun. And so what happened is, and I was on Twitter, but I didn't do much with it. And so the next day we went and lifted, and I was doing some cable crossovers, and he took a picture of me. And then he sent it to me, and he said, here, post this. And I said, no, thanks. That's okay. I appreciate it. And then I held on to it. And then I started to really put aside the at your age thing, and realize maybe this was an opportunity, or is an opportunity to inspire people in some way, some form, some help people. And so I posted it. And within minutes, Bobby Cables reached out to me.
Bobby, I knew it was Bobby.
Bobby, and as fired up as he could be, and he sent a video and all excited, and then he DM'd me and said, would you be interested in being part of Club 100? And I didn't know what he was talking about. So I said, what does that entail? And bottom line, his answer was a group of people who are promoting health, promoting fitness, and doing it by supporting each other and being positive. And all I sent back was, I'm in. And it's been awesome ever since.
Now, when you say it's awesome ever since, what do you mean it's awesome ever since? What makes it awesome?
Getting to virtually meet people. I remember when you followed me. I was coming home from a pretty bad cleanup of a pretty bad accident. And I got back to the station and we cleaned up and and I got in my vehicle and you had followed me and I was already following you. And so I had saw, your expertise. And then, so I was just honored. And then it's Thora, it's Dookie, it's
Thora, Dookie,
it's Michelle, it's Kevin, it's Coach Kevin Robbins, it's just Hammer and Pastor Paul. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And it's just those connections. And then on my way in, and this is going to sound like I'm making this up, but because of the timing, but on my way in, I received a note for Thor and I from someone that said, I'm so glad I'm following you two. You keep me motivated. You keep me going. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what my son meant, And so it is through positivity. It is through support. And like I said, when you start a list, you're like, oh, I probably shouldn't have started a list of names because you're going to forget somebody. But there's so many amazing people that's a part of this, just positively supporting each other.
Do you tend to lift weights by yourself? Are you kind of a solo act?
Yes, unless it's with my son. Now I say that, doctor, but I also, I'm a high school counselor, starting my 32nd year. So I've always lifted in the weight room at the high school that I've been at. And so I lift when there are kids in there, but I do lift by myself. However, that may be part of my motivation because I'm making sure that none of those kids are ever outworking me. So there is some motivation there, but for the most part, yes, unless it's me and my son, for the most part, I do lift solo.
And that's another reason why Club 100 is so cool, because in a way, you're not lifting solo because you've got a bunch of people there supporting you in any way you want to. If you want to share something, if you've got a question, if you've got an inspiration, whatever it may be. So there you have it. So let me ask you a question. You've been a high school counselor for 32 years. That's just friggin' amazing. Especially nowadays. What are you, a glutton for punishment? Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, and I understand, especially with COVID and everything that happened with that. But I'm proud of the fact that this will be year 32. I could have retired already, and I'm not ready to do that. I like what I do. I like working with the kids. And again, I like just that interaction with them and hopefully, again, we use the word a lot, inspire, but hopefully inspire them to find their passion. And the truth of the matter, doctor, is that's along with my son going into college and trying to find his passion. That's where we get to the fire department at 55 years old. I'm talking about finding your passions and doing those things. We talk about another, famous quote from Emerson, but, what you do speaks so loudly, I cannot hear what you say. Well, I was talking to my son and telling him to find his passion, and fire, if I could go back to 18-year-old self, growing up in a rural community in Michigan, my best friend's dad was a fire chief, but it was all volunteer. Most of my friends' parents dads were farmers or worked in the factories in Flint and Saginaw. And then when there was a fire and they were home, they went out, got in their personal vehicle, threw the light up on top, the magnet light up on top of the truck, and took off. And I didn't even think it was a career profession. So went to college, got into education. And then, all these years it's been there. It's
been percolating.
Yeah. And so finally I acted on it, because I guess I felt hypocritical in telling people to follow their passion, but not doing so much.
Well, it also, quite frankly, Keith, speaks to the fact that it's never too late. And so
right.
you did this, you took the written exam and all of that just this year, 2022. June. So this is while you're 55, right?
Correct. So actually, doctor, I applied. I'm going to be 56 next month. I applied on my 55th birthday.
Wow.
To the department. Yep.
Wow. And then you spent all this time. And when you had to, obviously you had the written test and all that, because that's your pinned tweet. But what about the physical activity part of the test? In other words, what do you have to do to prove that you're physically fit to be able to do this? Because you got a whole lot of stuff you got to do, when you're a first responder.
That's a great question.
What did you have to do? I'm dying to know.
Yep. So they share, once you get hired, once you go through the interview process and you make it to the next step, then that's the physical end of things. So we had to go up, and we actually did it right here at the high school. So you go up 4 sets of stairs on 1, 2, 4 flights. Let me say that, not sets, 4 flights. Carrying something heavy. You carry it up, you put it down, you go back down, you go back up, grab it, carry it back down, and you do that 2 complete times. When you're done with that, you have to carry the dummy, or drag the dummy. I don't remember how long it was. 50 yards. I don't really remember.
Was that thing up and down the stairs timed?
Yep. Yeah, this all is. Yep, it all is timed. And so then you drag the dummy. After that, you run outside and you put the ladder up. You climb the ladder. I think it was 25 feet in the air. Touch a dot, come back down, take the ladder back down. And then the last one is, again, carrying more objects, more heavy objects, and dragging out a fire hose up those flights of stairs again. And we were supposed to be done in under 11 minutes. And so I went into complete crazy train mode. Was on a stair stepper and you got to do that all in your bunker gear, which always with the SCBA pack, all that, about 50 pounds. So I didn't have anything to exactly bunker gear. So I started simulating. I started putting chains that we have in the weight room over my neck, climbing on the stair stepper.
And everyone thought you'd lost your mind, but that's okay.
They knew, they knew what we were doing, or what I was doing. So, and then it was just, so once you're done with that, then you hear whether you're hired or not. So
wow. I wonder how many people flunked the test.
I don't know. I don't know. The two others did it with me, and they made it through.
And were they younger?
Oh, yes. Matter of fact, I was the oldest in my fire academy that I was sent to in January.
Okay, how cool is that? All right. A lesson to everyone watching this podcast: never too late. But
too late.
Here's the but part.
Oh
no, hold on now. And the but part is, if you have a solid foundation of mental and physical fitness, you can't possibly do that stuff in 11 minutes. if you're in terrible shape. I mean, it'll take you like 2 years to kind of ramp up to speed. And so, the fact that you've kept this up all of these years clearly had a major payoff for you, to say the least. Now, that being said, hold that thought. Okay, let's go back. When did you start doing the whole fitness thing? Was it, for a lot of boys especially, it was just sort of like hanging out in the neighborhood and falling out of trees and, like swimming in the creek and doing all that stuff. So, I mean, it doesn't have to involve a gym right off the bat, but when did you get the feeling that you thought you were kind of athletic?
Well, I grew up, lifting wasn't a big thing for the most part in high schools. We didn't have a gym. They have beautiful weight rooms now. Excuse me. So I went to college, played college baseball. When I got out of college, I got into teaching, started coaching, and we had these weight rooms now, and the football teams were in and the baseball teams were in. And so I just started lifting with the kids. Not that I was much older.
That's so cool. So just by virtue, and this is a little shout out to everyone out there. And that is that, we sit here and sometimes we complain, oh, somebody's on the equipment, and really, my feeling is, are you kidding me? Just be happy you have fantastic equipment, because there were days when all of that was definitely not happening. And so many of us just had to, make it up as we went along. So you're kind of one of those, to say the least, right?
And then I think, of course. And then I think we got to the point where, it was always wait till you're my age. And I was 25, 30, and I didn't want to be that. I wanted to prove that wrong. So I've been lifting since I was 22, I think.
Good God. So seriously, you've been at it for 3 decades for sure, right?
Yeah.
And that's what kind of helps you.
Yep. And I think the key for me has been consistency. Consistency in my nutrition, consistency in my sleep, lifting, just being consistent.
And that word, I'm telling you, in every single interview that we do for the podcast, I hear the C word all the time. That it's just a matter of, shut up and do it.
Yep.
And, when the little demons show up in your brain and keep saying, let's take the day off and, all the rest of it. And damn well that you're in perfect, position to just show up and do your exercise the way you're supposed to. Well, it's about beating down the resistance, which I think is incredibly important. But here you are. What this also allowed you to do, Keith, is it allowed you to live your dream. You'd always dreamed about doing this, which is, and you couldn't have lived your dream if you didn't have the mind and body to go along with it, because this isn't exactly easy stuff.
No. Right? And I've after I, followed you and read all the things about you, I mean, your expertise, this is more mental than physical. And so the academy was more mentally challenging than physically challenging. But by being consistent, it makes you mentally stronger. So when I'm done in the weight room, I feel great physically, but mentally so strong.
Yeah. And I actually posted that the other day with some really cool new research that came out about, how wonderful it is for your mind to actually, be doing the lifting because, it's helpful in healing, recovery, everything. And so it's not just about, hey, I want to get a bigger biceps. It's so much deeper than that. I mean, that's also that's nice if you got it and you could flex it and take
Sure.
multiple pictures of yourself. And that's all good, to each his own, whatever. But this is this is pretty cool. You're a beautiful example of how you were rewarded by staying on top of it all of this time. I just think that that's like amazing. So
I
my
appreciate
question
that.
is, with all of this that's gone on, with your fitness that you've done for so many years, how did that spill out into counseling?
Well, I think again, just being able to show instead of talk.
Yeah.
Boy, you can tell I haven't talked this much this summer.
Yeah, I know. If there's one thing I can do, I can get you to talk. It tends to be a thing about me. But when you're really working how strong you are, mind and body, when you come out of that gym and you're like, oh, I feel so good and back and forth. I know a lot of people would rather, like run the opposite direction than counsel kids in high school because man, that is hard. And it's draining. It's like someone puts a straw to your brain and just sucks it dry. It could be really draining, and it could also be super challenging when you've got kids who've got real problems. But do you find that your fitness kind of spills over and helps you out?
Well, if I use the word passion, yes. Being healthy is a passion of mine, and I want these kids to find their passion, whatever that may be, and to go at it with everything you have and stay consistent and true to yourself as you do that. I only think good things are going to happen in the end for them. Maybe not right away, as we've talked about. How long it took me to get to eventually the fire academy. But by following my passion, staying true to myself, I was prepared when the door opened.
So, have you ever had kids who've watched you, like be fit and healthy and whatever? Have you ever had kids come up to you and say that they're inspired, that this means something to them somehow, one way or the other, just to see someone who appears so healthy and full of life, helping, that particular kid out? Does that ever happen?
Yeah, just recently, and he hasn't said anything to me personally. I see him every day, but I think that's part of social media. But I have a junior here who I had posted something the other day, and I truly don't even know what I posted that he responded, but I do know he just responded role model, and I just thanked him. And so, yeah, I feel that we all have the ability to help each other in some form or fashion. And the person that reached out to me today and just thanked Thor and I thanked them back. We're all in this together. And so, back to your question, I guess, in terms of if I've allowed him to feel inspired, that's awesome. By him writing role model, that inspires me, because we're all doing something right. So
That's got to have made you feel so damn good.
yeah,
Just to know that you touch someone's life. And, between you and me, you're probably touching a lot of people's lives. They probably just don't reach out and kind of give you the big shout out here. Some people do, some people don't. But when you're around a bunch of kids, especially nowadays, what's really frustrating is maybe it's not true at your high school. I don't know, but they've taken physical activity away.
oh, yep, yep. Now, and we have a really good physical education department, but kids are able to opt out if they want. So, and fortunately, doctor, not many do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I sit on the board of the American College of Sports Medicine, and we're the ones who write all the big guidelines and, how much activity we get back and forth. We look at kids, we look at, everyone of every age and back and forth. And one of the things that I just couldn't believe a number of years ago when they started stripping down physical education classes, I mean, I lived for mine.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to get out there and tear up the volleyball court or, make myself a complete jerk, in gymnastics, because I have no business doing gymnastics. So I lasted about, like 3 weeks there. I'm 5'9" for crying out loud. When I get up on that beam, it's like 900 feet, down to the ground. I'm like, no, this isn't going to work. But boy, you give me that basketball, I'm a forward, and volleyball. Okay. We can talk. I lived for that. And it's so healthy to just break right now, get out of your seat, push that desk aside and get on out there and use your mind and your body. And also working on teams is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
For kids to learn how to be able to work with one another in a very meaningful way and not to isolate. I just see too many kids who isolate, sit around with devices, don't talk to each other, and they're not out there, just having fun.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I just said. He hasn't. I mean, I've seen him every day since he posted Role Model. Not that he said anything to me, but he knows I saw it because I thanked him. But yeah, being active is sometimes becoming a not a passive thing, I guess. And so, fortunately, here we do have a really great PE program, a lot of awesome choices, and we have a self-defense class. So kids that normally have put off PE, they're interested in that. So we do offer a lot of options other than just basic PE, or we have weight room, advanced lifting, and those type of things. So we really do a great job here of promoting being active and getting out of your seat, like you said.
Is there, I know the statistics, so I don't know what it's like at your school, but are there a lot of kids who have weight problems at your school? Because when you and I were growing up, it was like, maybe there was like one person in the class with a weight issue, and everyone else just looked like a bunch of string beans, and we kind of did our thing. And then clearly over the course of time, with more processed foods and beverages and ultra processed junk, and people just not cooking enough, and back and forth, just like a whole host of things, you ended up with this current issue, which actually breaks my heart, because you want to grab kids when they're in grammar school, junior high, and high school, and really make certain that they're developing a strong foundation in more healthy lifestyle. And so how do you deal with the challenge? Do you ever kind of suggest that, hey, it might be kind of fun to join XYZ or be a little more physically active or whatever?
Yeah, unfortunately, well, we'll go back to your food issue. I go to the lunchroom just to hang out with kids and talk to them, and some of the things that I'm seeing them eat. But I'm fortunate enough to be in a position here where I run our weight room through a grant that our community has given to the school to get kids more active in the weight room. And
Good.
I'm fortunate enough to run that after school. So I'm constantly, it's like I'm running for mayor here. I'm constantly trying to get kids to come join us. We're open from 3 to 4. And so constantly out banging the drum on the announcements, just trying to get them in there. And Doctor, I'm proud of this. When I first started doing it, when our new weight room opened, I was running a Friday only girls. The girls were asking me, would you run Friday? Because they wouldn't come in. We had this new fitness center where before it was kind of the old football weight room, type of thing. And this new beautiful fitness center was provided for us at the high school through our community. And and I was banging the drum. Come on, you guys, everyone. And the girls were so reluctant. And so they said, okay, would you do a Friday only? I said, absolutely. Cause it was only open Monday through Thursday. I said, absolutely. Guys were showing up. I'm like, nope, you got to go. You're out. This isn't your day.
You're out of here.
And then eventually what was awesome to see was those girls were like, you know what, we're going on Monday. And then Tuesday they'd bring more. And it got to the point, some days we had more girls than guys. And so
listen up, guys, you gym bros, you.
So I was excited about that. So I'm just fortunate to be in the position that I'm in, and able to help kids in some form or fashion.
I just think that that's so cool. I really do. And, it's sort of like what happened with the marathon with women. It's like, oh, they're too delicate. Until, of course, we, made the point. And the same thing with weight rooms. It's like, I don't want to go in there. There's all these scary men.
Yeah.
And now it's like, excuse me, can I have the cables, please?
Absolutely.
Be done?
And you've got Michelle and Thora too right there that are like, nope.
Oh my God, they're all, and Shannon and all the rest of them
can go on.
Absolutely terrifying people. And I think what you're now seeing is it's a generational thing. Kids coming through now, male and female, are just much more comfortable just doing the co-ed thing in the gym and sharing the equipment and doing the gig and not shaming anyone and not being stupid about anything. Instead, really supporting one another, which is exactly what we in the Club 100 really, that's our mission more than anything else. And people come from all kinds of backgrounds, and it doesn't matter because that level of, diversity of backgrounds and histories and struggles and triumphs is really what makes the whole Club 100 experience so rich. I always look forward to kind of some of the wild and crazy tweets that go back and forth. I'm like, whoa, these people are on fire. These people really need to sit down. No more coffee for Bobby. Okay, I'm cutting you off, Bobby.
And speaking of what, Brent
is amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
I think
and he's taken himself on.
Yeah.
As everyone is. And again, with a boatload of support. And look at Jason on this incredible weight loss journey of his, and literally life-saving for him. And with all these people who really care about him, on the overall. So all I can tell you is that this is just the best on the overall. Now, what was it like the first time you went out in the fire engine? Just got to know. I'm just like a little girl because I've always been fascinated with fire engines. I ended up going to the ambulance route, which because I'm a physician, but fire engines right there with me. So what was it like when you were like doing your first gig and, you look so amazing in your uniform and that pinned tweet and everything? Was it like, oh my God, what have I got my ass into? Or
well, the very first one was when we went from the station. The station actually is right across the street. So from the high school. So when we loaded up and came over to do our physical test, was the first time. However, I don't remember coming over because I think I was so intently concentrating on the physical test I was going to have to do. But I do remember going back, and it's a 2-minute ride. I do remember going back, thinking, wow, I is really all I could think about is just, wow, this is crazy. And I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it says 55 years young on there because I truly do think age is just, I mean, you've proven that, right? I mean, it's a number. If you have energy, if you can find energy, if you can bring energy. So that's why it says 55 years young. But that said, the day I sent my app or put my application in on my 55th birthday, I did walk out thinking, there is no way they're going to be interested in hiring me at 55. And so there are moments where I do find myself surprised, I guess, to a degree, like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this. But the first time we went out for a fire, dressed up, sitting, looking that way as the engine was going that way in the back. It was exciting. It was wow moment. It was you've done this. This is pretty cool. But I will say this too, and you as a doctor, I think you can give me some advice on this. One of the things that I struggled with when I did this, and a little bit more to as I still going through this, is if I'm getting a call, if I'm going on a call, somebody's having a bad moment. And maybe their families are too, their sons, their daughters, their spouses, whether it's a medical, whether their house is burning down. So that's been a struggle for me getting into this so late, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you know what it is when you look at situations like that, it's the human factor. And the human factor is the toughest one of all. There's one thing that you have to do, like, for instance, the technical factor. Let's get the hose up there. Let's make certain, the fire is controlled. There's like an algorithm, an SOP that you follow.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's human beings involved. And those human beings are in shock.
Yeah.
They're terrified. They're fearful. They look to you to trust you with their lives, or the life of a loved one who's, having an issue or something.
Absolutely.
And that's a very heavy burden. But the way you do it is you just simply lead with compassion. And you just show nothing but compassion. You're not there to solve a problem, because if someone's having a heart attack, you're going to do the best you can. You're about ready to enter EMT school, so you're going to be joined by EMTs, et cetera. But it's the human factor. It's like what we do with Club 100. You have people going through really funky times. And how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
And the worst thing you could do is to think that you could solve their problems. You don't go there with that. Sometimes the most healing thing you could do is to listen, is just to listen, to be there, be present, and then obviously all the technical stuff you have to deal with and back and forth, but just to reassure and to be there, because it's very tough. I spent many, many years in critical care medicine. So you can only imagine. I never saw a sore throat, wouldn't even know one if it knocked down my front door. But heart attacks, gunshot wounds to the chest, sure, all day. And at the end of the day, this is really tough stuff. And what you have to do is just remember, you're there to do your absolute abject best. And you listen, you support, you reassure, and then you do your damnedest, to get all the technical stuff done, appropriately. And it can be very draining. You also have to protect yourself. You can't get so deeply involved in whatever's going on that you lose yourself. There are there are countless rabbit holes you can end up falling into. And so you've just got to be able to maintain that professional decorum, leading with compassion, empathy, support, that type of thing. It's something you learn to do over time, and never know where all this is going to lead. It's kind of amazing stuff. I've had patients come back, a year later, with a little gift.
Yeah.
And they say, what you did that day, saving, my mother's life or whatever the issue was, just gave us back our family. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Blah, blah, blah. That's the thing that counts more than anything else on this planet. It's just this beautiful connection between the first responder, that's what you and I are, the first responder, the rescuer, the people who run into the fire, and the people we try to help. So that's kind of the context. Does that make sense, Keith?
Absolutely. And I appreciate it. And as you're talking and I'm listening, I'm connecting that with, Club 100 and just, we're all in this together. Positivity wins. And so to just be a human and smile or be kind or help in some way, or a hi. We need to do a better job at that for sure.
All of us do.
All of us. Yeah.
I mean, every day, go down the streets, go ahead, smile at a random stranger. You never know when that smile is just going to flip and make their day.
Absolutely. So yeah, I appreciate your kind words and thoughts because it's very important that we never lose that human aspect. That's for sure.
32 years of counseling kids.
Yeah.
I don't think you've lost your human aspect.
Well,
oh my God, my heart goes out to you. It's like,
this is totally different though. Yeah, this is totally different. And again, you go into things thinking you're prepared, but then you learn something new and experience something new. And then you start to question yourself, but that's okay. Because I've questioned myself on how can I be better? And yes, doctor, I have taken the counseling skills and used them in situations with the fire service or fire department. And it's been helpful.
What do your kids say about your choice? Becoming, I'm dying to know. When you came home one day and you go, yo, listen, I'm going to be a fireman. Okay. Like, have at it. You be you.
Yeah. It's my own kids, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. My family was supportive. Very much so. My daughter's going to be, you met Kylie the other day. We were trying, she is going to be 23 and my son just turned 20. They've been both supportive. I think more so because of the message, find your passion. And I here at the high school, I give a talk with kids throughout the year about I call it the title of the speech or the talk is find your Lebanon, Kansas. And Lebanon being the middle point of the United States, I say to the kids, hey, you know where Lebanon, Kansas is? They say, no, I have no idea. I say, well, how would you get there? And immediately they Google map it, right? And I tell them that's what I want them to find. I want them to find their Lebanon, Kansas. Find your passion. How do you go about that? You've got to plan. You've got to prepare. You've got to list the pros and cons. You've got to adjust your plan because the way you thought you were going, there's a detour. Do you quit? Do you turn back? Do you find a different route? So really, my kids were supportive. The kids here at the high school were really supportive once they found out, not through me, because I kept it quiet for a very, very long time, or at least I tried. But then kids would see me out in the uniform or be like, wait, this is Mr. Williams, I think. And so then they'd ask me the next,
Mr. Williams.
And so again, really for me, it just comes down to, I know I've said this ad nauseum, but just find your passion. And so my kids have been supportive. My family's been supportive. My wife was very supportive because in the end, I was following my passion.
I think that, having the whole family behind you, all your, as it were, kids, all hundreds of them over there in the high school and the rest of it. This is so cool. I think that, as we wrap this up, I think everyone out there who's listening, I hope you just sort of grabbed and glommed onto the life lessons here. And one, it's never too late. Two, to always build a strong base of mental and physical fitness, because then it gives you options. So if you want to spin off and go in a different direction that requires you to be mentally and physically strong, you're on it. All you have to do is maybe fine tune it a little bit, but you got a solid base. Why not? And then also remember, you've got kids, a lot of you, and they look up to you. And as we've heard in other podcasts, parents are huge role models for their kids. So when they see that a mom or a dad, or both, thank God, are actually taking good care of themselves, well, they want to emulate that. I mean, why not? And it makes them feel like, incredible pride to be able to see that you do that. And so there's that. And then all the people whose lives you touch. In your case, you got a whole lot of them with a school. They're watching you. They may not say a whole lot, but they're watching you. They're learning because your actions speak so much louder than your words. And so if you're really taking care of yourself, and if you really seem centered, and if you're consistent, there's your little word, consistent, with your behavior, that makes a huge impression upon especially young people. But honestly, it's inspiring people of all ages, as you've seen by people who've reached out to you, and Thora and Shannon and Bobby and everybody else, and say, wow, this is very cool to see people just putting it out there, not being afraid to be passionate. So I think that this is really, really neat. And the fact that, fitness has always been there in your life. I can absolutely guarantee you it's had a very positive effect on your ability to be able to work with kids, high school kids, because it centers you. And the better you feel about yourself, that's very infectious and contagious. So you'll help other, kids who are a little shaky with their confidence and whatever, feel better about themselves because it came from you and you're a trusted person. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And you touched on it a couple of times about being afraid. And that's why I have it on there. Everything you want is on the other side of, fear. And we have a fear of the unknown. We have a fear of failure. We have a fear of not being perfect. We have whatever that is. If you can get to the other side of that and meet that head on, wow, the doors that will open up.
Never, ever, ever lead a life with fear. If you lead with fear, that's a very bad thing. But if you could just kind of kick that aside to the curb, boom, right there, and be strategically fearless, meaning that you're putting some great thought into it. You got a little plan here, plan A, B, C, D, and you're ready to kind of go forward, then that's really the way it works. All I can say, Keith, is I cannot thank you enough for being on, our wonderful Club 100 podcast. I think people are so funny. How many of you people have I talked to? When we're coordinating for the podcast, you go, well, I don't really know that I have like great, incredible things that have happened in my. I said, shut up, okay? Because seriously, I will find the lessons.
And I'm laughing because I said that to you. I mean, I've seen the podcast and the amazing stories, and I thought, wow, I'm pretty boring.
No, you're not. Well, you're the kind of person that kids are blessed to be able to hang out with.
I appreciate
and your family is blessed. And now the fire department is. So, for crying out loud, everyone's got amazingly authentic, wild and crazy stories. And
I appreciate it.
And your words of wisdom resonate with so many people out there. Again, Keith, thank you so much for being on this podcast. And now everyone, that wraps up another episode of the 100 Club podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Please follow us at 100 Club 100. If you want to become a member, just put little hundreds around your Twitter handle and then let us know you want in, and then we'll give you a great welcome. Listen, I'm Dr. Pam Peeke. I'm the very proud host of the Club 100 podcast, and it's an absolute delight and honor to be able to introduce these amazing people like Keith to everyone out there. Hope you learned a lot of lessons and enjoyed the discussion. Have a great day. Take care.